Now tuning in to Earbud Media. Audio for everyone.
The only thing that would make this better is just a coordinated dance.
Ooh, little flash dance situation.
Yes, I will dump water on you and all of the equipment that you have near you.
Absolutely. Yeah, just ruin everything.
Just for spice, you know?
Yeah, a little flavor.
Sometimes I do kind of need to unleash my Sour Patch Kid self, and that I feel like would be good for the day, to just throw water on you.
Yeah.
I'll remember that for the first time that we meet 50 years from now, and I just throw water on you, and you're like, what the fuck?
This is a blood pact now, and this has to...
Yeah. Welcome to Into Twilight.
Ooh,
we're here.
Hello.
We're starting...
Hello.
A new season. Is that what... You know,
yes.
Something.
Whatever. You know, we're still going. Is what's happening.
I think folks know better than to mention time to me. Like, if I ever had a writer, you know, like when I hit the big biz and I make it, on my writer, I'm going to be like, I would like no M&Ms near me ever, because I don't trust them. And also don't talk about time near me.
Yeah.
Time does not exist.
Yeah, no, I think that's great.
Yeah, we're still here. Surprise.
We're here. When all else fails,
you thought
when
you
the
could get
world
rid of
crumbles.
us.
Congratulations.
When we have our next civil war, it's me and Cody. We're going to be narrating it. So welcome.
Yeah.
I hope that you're ready for really outdated references and nuanced jokes. And that's it. So I am so excited to have our guests on the show for today because one, they're great, but two, they're also great, which is an interesting combination. A lot of people don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you find it, you got to get it. So, Devin, I'm really excited that you are here. Thank you for joining us.
Me too. I'm really excited to be here. I'm very surprised, but excited.
You know what? We're glad that we brought you here. This is actually an intervention.
Oh, no.
For what? I smudged my hand. I had it written on pen on my hand and then I smudged it, so I don't remember, but it's something.
Reasons that may become clear while we
later on
continue to record. Yeah.
We're going to unpack it. We're going to unpack it and uncover it together, which is what this is all about, togetherness today.
Devin, if anyone has the audacity to not know who you are, could you tell folks who you are and what you do?
Oh, how dare they not know who
That's
I
what I'm
saying. So I am an average Joe Schmo on the internet who just really loves Twilight, even in my adulthood. I don't do anything super spectacular, but I like to consider myself a very good hype girl, which is how I think I got on this podcast.
That's true.
And I tend to do that a lot, like especially on TikTok, like bigger creators, and like I just interact so much with people, and when I really like something, like everybody knows I like it. So I guess that's my role on the internet, is to just hype everybody up, and that's what I do.
I love
to see it. Yes.
Finally, after all this time, we get a hype man. It's so well deserved.
Yeah.
As you might be aware, one of the things that we do, not just this year, but also in life, is check in about how we are before we get into some really awful shit. I would love to ask you, Devin, how are you? And also, if you have a happy thing to bring into the space.
Actually, surprising enough, I'm doing quite well. I think it's because it's the second half of the year and not the first half of the year. So
sure.
You really caught me in an upward spiral. I like to think fall and winter are my thriving times. So this couldn't have worked out better. I'm doing well, and something that's kind of, I guess, brought joy into my life lately is I finally found a workout that I enjoy
Hell yeah.
and don't despise. It took me 30 years to find it.
Yeah.
But we're here, and now we're going to be old and mobile and healthy and functional. So
Damn.
It's fabulous.
Oh, what I would give. That gives me hope for the future. So I appreciate that. You really do love to see it.
But yeah, it does spark a lot of joy. So that's pretty much what I got going on right now that's making me
Hell
happy.
yeah.
That's great.
Is doing that.
I love that. Cody.
Whenever, I always know whenever we record when Allie turns on like her disappointed mom voice, where it's like I bring in a thing and she's like, I don't want to talk about this, or I'm scared of what you're gonna bring, but I'm accepting. I just am terrified, and that's what's happening right now, and I feel it in my earbuds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm trying so hard too. That does not bode well for
looking at it right now.
For how I teach. Cody, how are you?
I'm not doing great. I'm having categorically not great week.
Sure.
Whatever. It's fine. We're here. We're alive. But the thing that I've brought to the space is bringing me so much joy. Now, you two see a photo before you in the document. It is of a terrifying pig couch? Question mark?
And listeners, you might be like, pig couch?
Right.
But yes.
That's a great, that's a reasonable question to ask. But it's something I've been seeing on Twitter for the last couple of days, circling around. And it's been giving me so much serotonin. The reason why is fucking look at it. It is fucking hilarious. It is so funny. It is both so charming and so deeply haunting, which is my entire Venn diagram of things that I enjoy. But the reason it was popping off on Twitter is because people have been using it on Craigslist as like a fake scam thing that people were like, oh, here's a couch for sale in New York City, and then people want it, and people were like, oh, it's $200. That's fun. That's a funny thing, and then people love it because it's ridiculous and nightmarish.
Good luck getting it on the subway.
Right. Yeah. Oh my god, could you imagine trying to transport this? No way.
Jesus,
no fucking way. It turns out this has been part of a years-long fucking scam on eBay where people have just been. It's like it was originally this project from a fiber artist in Philadelphia. There's a whole New York Times article about the actual artist or whatever.
Wow, there's lore.
There's lore. And people have been using it on Craigslist for years, just baiting people and not intentionally trying to swindle them or anything, but just trying to
see who's into this.
Right. They just see the market.
Sure.
They're just what's going on? And then also it brings a lot of joy, and people have been doing it a lot now because everything's terrible and people are like, this will be fun and this will spark joy, and it has been, and it's been giving me quite a lot of joy.
Absolutely. It causes more questions than answers for me. Mm-hmm. And I think based on very little about what I know about art, I think that's what art is supposed to do.
Yeah, I think so.
So I don't know that there will come a time when I will not see the haunted darkness that is the depths of these pigs' eyes.
Yeah.
I think it will haunt me for the rest of time. And that's, you know what? That's fair. Art does that sometimes.
It is something you can't unsee.
Oh my God.
So you're welcome. You're welcome for that.
That's true. Jesus Christ.
Anyway, how are you, man?
On a lateral move, also not great, but it'd be like that sometimes. Everybody has those days, the old psalm of that.
As the prophet once said.
What I have brought to the space today is surprisingly trash. So just imagine me, dear listener, just holding out to you, just trash. That is me as a person, and it's also what I tracked in life. What has brought me joy, verbs are hard, is unfortunately The Bachelorette. I would not say that I enjoy the franchise so much as I just need trash TV right now, something that I can just fucking not think about a little bit. The Bachelorette, unfortunately, does not do that. Again, it causes more questions than answers, I feel like, most of the time.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Media be like that. What I've brought to the space today, though, is specifically a screenshot that I saw going around on Twitter after last night's episode of Ben. I want to say it's Ben. Gun to my head, I don't know that it is.
Who can say?
Of male contestant number 5?
There's
exactly
really no way of knowing.
Based on, he decided not to make a move. He wanted to be, like, super cool and, like, swoop in at the end of the dates or whatever.
And sweet.
And just, like, super hot. And then it fucking didn't work for him. And so this is a screenshot of him saying, I'm disappointed that I didn't get any validation. And he's just super disappointed. So, F's in chat for Ben.
Yeah.
I think is his name again. I don't know. So
all that makes me think about is that TikTok that's going around that's like, I just want to feel appreciated.
Yes.
Have you seen that one?
Yes.
This is giving me that
That's
vibes, like that kind of TikTok
Honest
vibe.
to God, that applies for both Ben and this pig couch. So
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah.
Speaking of TikTok, thank you for that segue, Devin. I would love to know about your Twilight backstory.
Oh, okay. My Twilight backstory. Let's see. When I listen to other people's Twilight backstories, everything kind of falls in one of two categories. It's either you're into the books, you kind of knew about the franchise, and then the movies came out, and then you obviously like dove into the movies and continued your love, or your love deepened. And then there's the other route where it's like you didn't know heck for all what it was. You had no context. Somebody wanted you to go to the movie. You saw it, and then your journey started. I was the second of the two. It was 2008, right? And I was a senior in high school. I think I had either just graduated or was still like at my end of my senior year. So I was like 18 at the time when this came out. And so I hadn't dove into the books. I had no context of what it really even was other than like the trailer, which, it's not giving you a lot. So I go, and of course the theater's packed because it's huge. And I watched the movie, and I thought it was interesting. Trash. I thought it was awful. I hated it. I went back and I was like, to everyone that told me to watch it, my mom being one of the people, like, what the hell are you smoking? What is wrong with you? Why are you so obsessed with this franchise? And her specifically, she was like, you have to read the book. Like you have to read the book. You don't understand. You have to read the book. And so I was like, okay, fine. I want to understand because everybody's so obsessed and like I want to be in it. So I read the book, and then everything clicked, like magic started happening. I started to understand the not so wonderful acting. All of a sudden it was like Emmy nomination, award winning in my brain. The love story was just like, I want that in my life. I don't know what I was going through when I was 18 years old to make all of that come to happen. But, I was there, and I was in it after I read the book. So I read the first one, obviously, and then I read all of them. And then, obviously, as the movies came out, I went to all the, midnight showings and, went that route. And so that's kind of where my love of Twilight started.
Amazing.
It was a very hesitant love, a very resistant love at first. And then now I'm in it. And, even years later, now that it's, blowing up again on TikTok and everybody's kind of there's a revitalization of it, now I'm still in it. Mm-hmm. So here we are.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
I'm on a whole podcast about it. So
from 2008 to 2012 was kind of when all of those movies were coming out, kind of in the thick of it. Walk us through, has it been that consistent, passionate burning until now, or was there a resurgence for you?
I'd say that I probably took a bit of a break, but for some reason Twilight is one of those movies that the series, the whole franchise, you can just kind of it's very digestible once you watch it once through and read the books once through. So I found myself going back to the movies. I had the DVDs, so I would continuously watch them. They would kind of be in rotation with other things whenever I was feeling, I don't know, either down or just let's go back to something familiar.
Right.
It was always kind of circle back to Twilight. And then more recently, I would say, obviously with the era of like TikTok, now I'm like a little bit more like I'm seeking out Twilight things and realizing that there is way more of a Twilight community than I think I ever thought there was.
Sure.
But I'm happy about it. So that's kind of how it went.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. I think that you are not the first to mention that the Twilight Saga is their like comfort space of like a place to return back to. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, there's just something like just so nice about it. I think obviously rewatching it as an adult, you see the flaws more, and you start to kind of pick apart like, oh, well, maybe this is where I got my ideas of unrealistic relationships from.
Yeah.
Maybe I should revisit some different points of reference moving forward in my life and just keep this as nostalgia. Right. But it definitely is one of those things that you just always find yourself coming back to. You know, it's kind of like your hometown. You kind of resist it. You're like, oh God, you're embarrassing. But you always come home to visit.
Absolutely. Were there characters in the series that stood out to you?
I was a team Edward, like if we're gonna go that route, like I was definitely team Edward all the way. I actually hated the love triangle. I was very irritated by it, but Rosalie was definitely a character that I adored throughout the series, and I felt like she kind of got gypped a little bit. But I always loved Rosalie, like just her attitude and just her style and her presence. And like she was one of those people that knew exactly who she was and wasn't scared to be that and wasn't apologetic for it throughout the series. And I think that's what made me love her probably the most out of all the characters.
Absolutely. This is a safe space for Team Rosalie fans. So
yeah,
you are home.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Thank God. Not my people.
Yes, you are here. Grab a blanket and some tissues. You're home.
Yeah.
Everybody gives her such a hard time, and they're like, "Oh, she's so mean," and it's like, well, she kind of went through a lot. Like, give her a minute. Like,
yeah.
And maybe I agree. Like, when I first engaged with the series, I definitely had a lot of that internal misogyny where I was like, why is she being rude? She's such a bitch. And it's like, no, actually, I do want to...
Ungrateful.
Yes. And now it's like, no, actually, I personally identify as a bitch, so I get it. I appreciate that for existing, so... We have a couple of current events before we get into the shit that is the host. First of these, Cody, you were the one that broke this news to me. And I personally expected it to be a lot like the election where folks were just yelling and shouting at me in the streets. Yeah. But we have some Netflix news. Would you mind sharing this with the space?
Absolutely. We've talked about this previously, I think when it was first announced that it was happening.
Yes.
But we have gotten photos and like a real announcement for the Shark Boy and Lava Girl sequel? Question mark?
I think so.
I guess.
Is it real?
It's
real.
It's called We Can Be Heroes, which comes to Netflix on New Year's Day. And notably, the main difference is that there's no Taylor Lautner. Everything else pretty much seems to be the same casting-wise. Like, the girl who played Lava Girl is in it, and the costumes are all, like, very in line with the previous installment or whatever. And then there's just some random dude who's not Taylor Lautner in a terrifying mask that's completely obfuscating his face. So, like, I am confusion.
Maybe they're hoping you think it's Taylor Lautner.
Right, if you squint, you're like, maybe?
Is it not? Mystery.
What? This Shark Boy, who's not my Shark Boy.
Hashtag not my Shark Boy.
He looks like a fucking Party City version of Shark Boy. Like, thin man.
Yes. He looks like he should be in, like, a costume catalog.
Yes!
Like Kyle from down the street that just, like, really went all out this Halloween.
Right. Like, he is the actual, like, costume version that they just, like, off-brand sell at Party City or Spirit or whatever. That's for Shark Boy. And it's like, no, that's the movie. That's the guy. That's Shark Boy.
Which, one, poses a really haunting image for what Party City is going to look like after this release. But also, I just cannot get over, like, great, Vivian you're back. Thank you for existing.
Yeah.
You look the same. You look great. I had a crush on you back then, and I still do now.
Absolutely.
But, like, who is this man? Why did they put a stock photo of this man who's not real? Like, everything else about this movie looks the same. Like, the graphics look the same as the first time. I'm hoping George Lopez will still be there.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this fake man who, like, is supposed to be in motion but isn't? This, like, rip-off Aquaman shark boy.
Yes.
Like,
Right.
It's gotta
Supposed
stop.
to be emotion.
Because also it's like, it's not like Taylor Lautner's doing anything right now. You know what I mean?
Literally
like, he's
no.
not busy. He's not booked and busy. We tried to make Taylor Lautner a Hollywood frontman for years. For years, people tried to make that happen. And it never worked. And what is he doing now? He can't be Shark Boy? That's sus. I don't believe that.
I agree. Because he can't say that this is too lowbrow for him because he was in Scream Queen, so, like, shut it up.
Right, come on.
Second of all,
Taylor.
You're not doing anything. You're getting royalties on the Twilight Saga. You're rich enough to not be on Cameo.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
What this tells me is the Netflix producers were like, no.
Yeah, right. Like,
We have to cut him.
actually,
We would rather make an animatronic boy instead of Taylor Lautner.
yeah.
I will say I'm low-key a little bit bummed. I want to see Taylor Lautner in everything in general just because he's a mess now.
Yeah.
But, you know, whatever. Whatever. Okay, it's fine.
Can't always get what you want.
I know. I'm just gonna sit here and be the pig couch, okay? It's fine. We unfortunately have to talk about Stephenie Meyer. And you might be like, well, that's kind of what the show is. Now listen, here, fucker. Yes.
Not our favorite.
We've dug ourselves a hole we can't crawl out of. Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
Just because we do it doesn't mean we like it.
Yeah.
There is now a frequently asked questions section of Midnight Sun, which, goddamn, this took her a long time to do. She really fucking dragged her heels on this. Are there any of these questions that stand out to you?
There's so much here.
There is.
There's like two main ones that I have serious
Please.
qualms with, I feel like, based on what we've talked about previously over the last 40 years we've been reading this book. First of which is, so she's basically like, writing this book took me so long. It took me such a long time, and it was grueling.
A lifetime and a half.
It, and it was awful. And we are like, hello. We know that's not true. We know for sure that's not true. You said on television that you were still writing the book when it was announced. This is not like a long con. We know. We don't have to rewrite history.
Just be
here,
honest.
Steph. It's okay. Sometimes we, like, burn the midnight oil and we write a 600-page book in 2 months and send it out and make millions of dollars. Like, it happens. It happens. You can just say that. It's fine. Why are we doing this? Why are we playing this game?
I love how one of the questions they ask about, could this potentially be a movie? What about the same cast? As if that's even remotely possible.
Stephenie is writing all of these questions. Nobody has sent in any of these questions.
Nobody has emailed Stephenie.
Movie? Question mark?
Which is
Rob
why...
Kristen?
As someone who single-handedly tried to email Stephenie Meyer on multiple occasions and have not
It's
found
impossible.
a working email address, there's no direct line to Stephenie Meyer. There's nothing. You can't do it. So she is writing these questions. I have the proof.
Absolutely. There are two questions that stand out to me. One is the question that she asked herself, which is about her religious beliefs, which I will save the full response for another time. Maybe it's a bonus, Jonas. What I do want to stand out is the last sentence in this response, which I did not expect to relate to Stephenie Meyer in any sense of the word, except for that she says, quote, "My brain holds what it holds, and I'm fine with that." And that...
Just a perfect summarization of the Stephenie Meyer brand.
Yeah.
I don't want to answer your question, therefore I will not.
Yes.
Sometimes brains are just brains. What are you gonna do? You know? Like, what are you gonna do?
Who knows what they think of?
Yeah.
I mean, do you? No. What did your brain think of? Let's talk about your brain.
The other question here that I feel like is at least newsworthy, and the rest of these we can talk about at a fucking later time, is when she asked herself about the 2 more books.
Mm-hmm.
Now, anyone who's a part of this fandom, unfortunately, knows that folks have been wanting Midnight Sun for literally over a decade at this point.
Yeah.
At least from what I have seen and what I feel as well is that we didn't want the Twilight version. Everyone wants Midnight's, like, Edward's perspective, but from New Moon. And she will not do it. Mm-hmm. So when she answers this question, she's like, well, the most important thing to know is, like, it's not going to happen for a really long time. So shut the fuck up. And then also, when it does appear, I am going to write this about Ratatouille, and it's going to be with Leah Clearwater. Stop it! Nobody asked for this.
Listen, I love Leah as much as the next.
Me too.
Maybe more than Stephanie even loves Leah. Let's be honest here.
That's true.
And throughout this whole FAQ section, she goes saying, like, I don't want to write in this headspace again. I want to do new stuff, and if I do anything back to Twilight, it's going to be a long time from now, and I want to, like, have a little refresh, you know, from this series or whatever. And I get that from an artistic standpoint. Sure, whatever.
Sure.
But, like, a dual perspective with Resume and Leah doesn't make...
Like, don't implicate Leah into a crime.
Right, yeah. It's like, no, I don't want to hear about imprinting and their gross relationship while Leah is also, like, narrating it. No, I don't want that. I don't want that association at all.
The worst, like, the worst possible thing is to hear it from fucking Rat Pack's perspective. The last thing I want to do is hear Leah, the love of my life, talking about how gross this is. Like, no, stop it. Leave her out of this. Let her go to college at UW and find a really great barista that she falls in love with. Like, leave her alone.
Like she deserves.
Honest to God, Stephanie. And stop emailing yourself. Hey, Stephanie, now that you're listening to us, first of all, what the fuck in general?
Yeah.
But also, second, stop emailing yourself. Yeah. You can just write it on a piece of notepaper. No one will know.
Yeah.
This is not really what we want to know. Answer the real questions that we want to know. What we've been tweeting you
for literally like 12 years. Knock it off. I hate to end this current event section on a little bit of a downer, especially because I feel like this space we try not to talk about police a lot,
right?
Specifically with the goal of like ignoring that Charlie is in fact a police person. But I do have some bad news. When I was watching The Bachelorette last night, I noticed Kellen Lutz on my television, and he was talking to me personally, and he said, "Hey, fucker, please watch this new cop show that I'm in." And it took me off
Emphasis on the please.
Yes. It took me off guard because, one, Kellen Lutz is on TV and he's playing a cop, which haunted. Here's the other thing. I looked up this cast, and the creepy guy from Lost is in it. And also, Cole from Charmed is in this television show.
What's happening here?
Why are
what
all
a lineup.
What the fucking Avengers meetup for a network television show about the FBI? You're going to take the raw sexual energy of Cole from Charmed and you're going to make him a cop? Stop it.
Yeah, that's disrespectful.
Of course. They always have to ruin good things, so.
Jesus Christ. Anyways, it bums me out. I do have a great listener question that's really going to bring this like up into the space, but we have a dear listener who sent us an email. Their name is Maggie. They are a first responder. So fucking thanks for your service. Thanks for being the smart one out of all of us. They sent us an email, and it goes a little bit like this. Hey y'all, I started listening to the pod about a month ago and just finished your Breaking Dawn Christmas episode. Wow, that was a long time ago. And I had to send this over to you guys. 2 years ago, while I was in nursing school, we all had to take an online seminar to prepare us for our nursing board exam. I came across this absolute gem of a video in our maternal newborn section, and I needed to share it with the world. I wish I had the full video, but I can't find it. I hope you're as confused and amazed as I was when I first watched this. Love, Maggie. I'm going to play this for the class right now. It is the scariest, and it gives you more questions than answers, and I'm excited for you to hear it.
Say Edward and Bella from Twilight. You know what I'm talking about? We like to pretend that maybe Edward and Bella, they're married, and now Bella's pregnant. It's Christmas time, and Edward takes Bella up to their ski lodge in Washington, and it's just them and the butler. And they get up there, and it's decorated all pretty for Christmas. 10 Christmas trees, each one with a different theme there for every year that they've been together, and it looks so pretty. But what's going to happen? A blizzard's going to hit, right? That's what's going to happen. And they've got all these candles lit, just thousands of candles lit in the house. Because they need more, so they got to send the butler on out with more candles, all right? And when he's gone, y'all, things happen. Things go wrong. Okay, no electricity. Nothing. What's going to happen there to Bella? She goes into labor, right? She goes into labor. Now, who's going to deliver the baby?
And that's where it ends.
What?
This was in a preparation for a nursing board exam.
Under what context was
I don't
this
know.
appropriate?
But I do need to hear the rest of this story. My life depends on it.
Oh my god, I'm crying. I do love the imagery too of there's a million candles. There's no electricity. Just a million candles.
I need that woman to, one, narrate my memoir. Two, to be a crisis negotiator, because immediately I was like, I will do whatever you need me to do.
Can we start a change.org petition in which we get her to do the audiobooks for all of the Twilight books?
Oh my god.
Yes.
Also, come on the podcast.
Please. Please, I need this woman so bad to just share her story.
I need to know.
She's definitely a part of the fandom.
Absolutely.
She's interjecting it into her job.
Oh my god.
Like, we're gonna talk about Twilight really quick, y'all.
I love that woman. I would do anything for her. And it brought me absolute joy. Maggie, thank you so fucking much.
Oh my god. An absolute hero.
Oh my god. A hero in so many ways. You know what I mean? So, we have the host.
Yeah. We sure do.
And I feel like we've been putting this off for a long time.
Rightfully so. So.
Have either of you read this before?
Absolutely not.
I did. I did read some of it back in the day.
Okay.
It was because I was, going through that phase where it's like, novels galore. Because once you read one, now you need to read 20. But then, I started to get into like Hunger Games, and then the host just kind of fell to the background.
Sure.
Yeah, it is, it's cursed. I read this book back in 2013 when I was working my first summer job. There've been a lot of traumas in my life at this point, so that's a different person as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And I don't remember this story at all. All I remember is that when we do eventually get to the movie, Saoirse Ronan's in it. It makes no sense why.
Looking the least like Saoirse Ronan's ever looked in her entire life.
Which automatically makes this a queer text, which I did not realize in my first reading. And also that Jake Abel is in this, which led to him narrating Midnight Sun. So, it's all fucking connected in Ficklefish Films world.
Seriously.
Of course.
Anyways, this book is interesting. Even if you didn't know who the author was, I feel like if you got a couple pages in, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is Stephanie.
You would know.
Just because right off the bat, the epigraph slaps you in the face. And it's like, do you get it? Do you get what this is about?
No, but you won't.
Right. Here's the thing. I made a choice, and I think I made the bad choice here in terms of reading this. I got the audiobook.
Oh.
I wasn't going to do this, but I accidentally realized that Audible has been charging me, and I was like, oh, fuck. I should, while I have a credit, I should just get the host. And I think that was the bad choice to make. I think that was a bad decision.
Okay.
First of all, this audiobook is 23 hours long.
Oh, absolutely. This book is almost 700 pages. It's we're huge. Fucking signed up until summer again.
It's over 300 megabytes on my phone right now. It's so...
Your phone is slow as
hell.
Seriously.
It's all because of Stephanie Meyer. And also, another fun quirk about it is that it's narrated by Kate Reading, or Reading. And that name might not be familiar to you, but she's a very prolific audiobook narrator. And she's been narrating audiobooks since the 80s. So that will give you a little bit of a sense of the audio picture I've been getting of the age of the character and what they sound like, which doesn't really give me a Saoirse Ronan headspace. I don't really feel like a YA teen vibe from it because there's this older lady reading me like a bedtime story, the words of Stephenie Meyer, and it's a little unsettling.
That's actually a great point, and I'm glad that you brought that up. Devin, in what form are you reading this book?
In the actual book form.
Okay. All right.
The holy text.
So
we do have Father, Son, Holy Ghost representation, because I'm reading it on the Kindle version, and there are some interactive elements.
Oh my god.
Oh.
What happened?
Wow, we've got all perspectives.
Most notably, when the prologue starts, which the prologue is named, it's named Inserted, which starts you off on a real fucking mood.
Mm-hmm.
2 sentences in, right after we learn about the healer's name being Ford's Deep Waters, with no context.
Yeah.
There is this section where, when it talks about that he is all things good, that he's compassionate, he's honest, he's virtuous, he's full of love, that he's Carlisle. We get it. It is linked. Mm-hmm. And so naturally, I clicked the link. And what it took me to is at the end of this, past the conversation with Stephenie Meyer, past the questions and topics for discussion, is an annotated playlist for the host.
Stephenie Meyer gonna Stephenie Meyer, you know?
You could have just thrown together, like, gone to your head, what does Stephenie Meyer like? Well, of course she likes Linkin Park. Great, it's on there. She likes Muse. Great, you know it's on here. Death Cab, also on here. But it is, there is like a whole separate chapter of this book that just randomly has like, hey, I recommend listening to this song just to get like in the vibe in this moment.
In the mood of the chapter.
It's so wild.
Who thinks of that? Who's like, you know what we need in order to read this 700-page book? A playlist that we can put on rotation over and over and over again.
And theoretically, I don't hate it, except for that it's Stephenie Meyer. And so all of her songs, she's just kind of like reused across all of her playlists, and so it loses meaning at some point. How did you all feel about Ford's Deep Waters, aka Alien Carlisle?
Alien Carlisle.
I think the first 2 chapters of any book, I'm always just have way more questions than anything can happen. I think I did see the connection, the Carlisle connection there, but overall it was definitely a lot. There's a lot going on. It felt a little chaotic.
Yeah, yes. I feel like I'm still trying to like get my footing on like what the fuck is happening.
Yes, I agree
because of the audio.
Like, well, yeah. First, I'm so just, like, I'm away at sea. I have no idea. I have nothing grounding me to reality. All throughout, it's like so much. Stephenie doing like medical writing cosplay or whatever. That's like super technical stuff, and I'm just like, what is going on? And it's aliens, and I'm like, who is this man? Like, I'm confused.
There's no world building. She just throws you into it.
It is fully just like, hey, you're here, and this is it, and the rules have been established. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but you will, I guess, figure out by osmosis. But like,
maybe by the middle of the book you'll know what's going on, but right now you're not.
You can tell when she was writing this that she was having a lot of like, she was watching ER, because to me it gave me like very ER kind of Grey's Anatomy vibes of like, you have this really profound doctor and his like cute assistant, and then all of these little medical students that are like, oh dope, I want to watch about this because I'm a fucking like nerd. I'm looking at you, Maggie, you're a nerd. And they're just also talking about souls like it's a normal thing because it's Stephenie and she's obsessed with souls because religion. But I agree, there is no sense of world building that's happening here. There's just a lot of emphasis on this soul that is being inserted into this like human body. But I agree with you, Cody. I think there was definitely a part, and I shared it on Twitter because I was like, oh, we're like in it now, and Stephenie is writing about medical stuff. And it kind of like gave me the heebie-jeebies is when she says in the prologue, her long dark hair was secured beneath a surgical cap, exposing her slender neck. And I was like, stop it. I hate this so much. No. And you can tell that, like, there is no world building happening because Stephenie just randomly capitalizes things, and it's supposed to be important. We're supposed to know what it is, but she does not explain what they are.
Yeah.
we're just supposed to, like, figure it out as we go.
It's almost like you have to take notes throughout reading the book so that way you can go back and be like, oh,
Yes.
yeah, remember that one time on page 2 she mentioned this one thing that made no sense to me? Oh, now, 350 pages later, it's all coming together, and it's a lot. You have to want to finish this book to, like, really, you just have to be in it and just know that it might get better. It might not.
Yes. With chapter 1, where the alien soul starts to, like, remember some of these memories that are happening. I don't remember what it looks like in the book, but in the Kindle version, when it's referring back to the original human who's having these memories, the text for that character isn't about the, like, 0.8 font. It's super small.
Yes.
And that is her version of distinction. It's, like, not italics, but just, like, real small.
It's like non-existent.
Yes. That you have to, like, get out a magnifying glass and be like, what is that saying? It's a very interesting choice. But yes, there are a lot of memories that are happening here, which, again, because the alien soul doesn't know what's going on, it's hard to kind of piece these together on purpose. But also, we still don't have a lot of, like, world built at this time. So it, to me, just felt very disorienting.
It definitely was. It was just like, oh, here we are in this place where it's just a lot of where are we, what are we, who are we, like, why do I taste this and smell this, like, what even is the name for this, like, kind of situation, like, where it's like it's almost like you're trying to learn a new language after waking up. That's what the first chapter definitely reminds me of.
Especially because there gets to a point where we realize that it's no longer just a memory, but that the human who is no longer supposed to be there is, like, talking to this alien soul. And that's supposedly not normal and not supposed to happen. In this last section, at, like, the end of this chapter 2, we get a very thorough, very Stephanie description on a plain boy's face. But she's like, oh, this character has never seen a boy before, so I have to spend 6 paragraphs talking about this dude who has strange furry lines above his eyes. And it's a choice.
Yeah.
Especially when, like, at the end of this chapter, there is that moment of, like, possessiveness between the two of them, where we have the human who's like, that boy with the lines over his eyes, that's mine. And the alien's like, no, that's mine. But again, why do we have this conflict if we don't know who they are?
We don't even know this boy. Why is this boy even
here? Who are
these
people and who is the boy?
What is the significance of the boy? Will we ever find out? We don't know.
We don't know. Which is why when it gets to chapter 2, and again, this is very much like, if you have never read The Host, don't. It's fine. You don't need to.
Just follow along this podcast and you'll get the gist of all of it.
You'll get it. What is supposedly been happening in chapter 1 and chapter 2 is a lot like what Bella had after her transformation, where she's just, like, flat Stanley. But there's all of these things that are, like, happening in her brain at this time. Mm-hmm. So when they get to chapter 2 and there are all of these different doctors and officials that are standing around her being like, why the fuck hasn't she woken up yet? And the fucking Ford's Deepwaters is like, can you just chill? She'll come to when she can.
When she's ready.
It's just Stephanie just, like, copy and pasted this into a different type of scenario instead. Cody, how did you feel about the Chicago shout out in this chapter, by the way?
Yeah, it called me out. I was like, how dare you?
That just
leave me out of this.
So we finally get a little bit of information about who this human was before they're occupied by a soul, that apparently we are in the far future, that she appeared in Chicago, that has apparently not been existing for a while. And she's like, oh, hey, what's up? And so as this, like, alien soul is starting to wake up, she's hearing, or they, I guess we don't know. We don't know pronouns. We just know that their name is Wanderer. They're like, I'm trying to like connect these to different experiences that I've had before, which leads to this long explanation about souls, which I'm already tired of, and that does not bode well for this story, given that it's kind of what this whole thing is about. But there is this supposed important conflict that's happening between this defensive woman at the time who's like, this alien needs to wake up and like do their job and give us answers, because of course like this woman has to be angry, otherwise why would they exist? There's stuff happening. There's a lot of capitalizations on soul, and there's capitalizations on healer and seeker, but again, we don't know what those are. So I feel like with most things, similar to Dear Old Pig Couch, I left with these 2 chapters with more questions than answers, which is unfortunate.
Very many more questions. It's just, again, the chaotic energy in the 2 chapters is very strong. I'm expecting it throughout the entire novel, which is gonna keep the pace going. It is interesting, and I'm just gonna go up on a tangent about just my own mindset. Like when it comes to like afterlife or like souls and things like that, like where does your soul go after you pass? So it does kind of like make me think about that, these 2 chapters, you know, on a positive note. Like what does happen to your soul after? I really hope it's not probed into an alien's body.
I mean, I think that's what Stephanie thinks, which is a choice.
Yeah.
You get to pick your alien.
Yes, I agree. It's a really like choose your fighter kind of situation that's happening there. At the end of this sets up that the Wanderer, this alien soul, is now awake. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more explanation. But it is Stephanie, so I am not holding my breath that when we get to next week of chapters 3 and 4, we will have a little bit more information moving forward. So we'll see.
Hell yeah.
It is confusing, but God bless, you know? There are a lot of fans of the host who have been wanting a sequel for a long time. So
will they get one? We never know.
We never know. The worlds will never know. What we know here, though, is that we love our patrons, and that they're great, and I appreciate them.
Woo!
And we have a whole bunch of them to thank. Cody, would you like to start?
Hell yeah. Shout out Althea Johnson.
Thank you to Mallory Hardwick for your patronage.
Mallory.
Thank you, Katie Black.
Katie Black.
Thank you to Kylie Minty.
Ow!
Oh, I like that. Switching it up.
Shout out Elizabeth James.
Thank you to Jess Love.
Oh, yeah.
All the love.
Thank you, Alex Dornan.
Alex Dornan.
Thank you to Carrie Goldberg.
Whoop, whoop, sparkles.
Shout out Mickey Meyer.
Yeah, Mickey.
Wow.
Oh, Mickey, you're so fun.
Every time we say Mickey's name, I always think about that.
That goes through my head.
Thank you to Zoe Steele.
Thank you, Rebecca Cullen.
Woohoo!
Mrs. Cullen herself.
Thank you to Amy Taylor.
Ooh,
you were the best.
Yes. Thank you, Mulch Gray.
Mulch. Every time I think of Mulch, I have to say it in Celine Dion's voice, or it's not the same. Most of the time, I just do it in my head.
Have we ever seen Mulch and Celine Dion in the same room?
I have questions. I'm on to you, Mulch. I figured you out.
There.
Thank you to our unofficial intern, Taylor Brown Town Lautner.
Yes.
Constantly making TikToks who concern me about their well-being.
Shout out Danae Swan.
Thank you to my mom, Kelly Beck.
Kelly.
Thank you, Aaron Salinger.
Thank you to, and I don't know if you know that you have a sibling, Aaron, but thank you to your sibling, Sophia Salinger.
Woo! Shout out Donna Kavanaugh.
And last, but certainly not least, thank you, Jessica Hale.
Jessica Hale.
This has been the part I've been waiting this whole episode for. Devin, Could you share what fanfiction you brought to the space, please?
So the name of it is called It's Always Been Him. And yeah, good name, right? And it's a fanfic essentially from a Team Jacob perspective, which I know is
finally the representation we need.
It's not necessarily on brand for me because I don't quite buy into it, but I think it's sweet, it's nice, it's very digestible, and that's the kind of fan fiction I prefer. It's very just sweet and loving fan fiction.
Absolutely.
Just for context, it's a little ways in, and essentially, I think it takes place in like the New Moon era where Edward just runs off because in this fanfic, it's all they keep saying is he just ran off, and so that's what we know happens to Edward. And then Bella and Jake are getting really close. At this point, Jake has just asked Bella to be his girlfriend, and she has said yes. Charlie's essentially riding him home, and this is just a little interaction between Jake and Charlie in reference to it all. So, from Jake's point of view, it says, I got into Charlie's cop car and buckled up. We started driving. Jake, I trust you, but I want you to be safe with Bella, he said. Thanks for the trust, and I will be. Bella makes me happy, and I can't see myself with anybody else, I say. So are you guys, like, dating? Charlie cringed at the word. Yeah, actually, today, I said. Well, aren't you guys moving a little bit fast? Charlie asked. Me and Bella have been friends since forever. You know that Bella trusts me and I trust her, Charlie. I would never do anything stupid or anything that would harm her. I will protect her. Endlessly. She's my everything, I say, and Charlie pulls up to my house. All right, Jake. Have a good night. Tell your dad I said hi, Charlie says. I nod and walk into my house and lay on my bed. God, I love Bella. And then that's the little part. It's very wholesome. But I think that we might have needed that. Maybe I needed that. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
I think that reminds me a lot of Midnight Sun's interpretation of Jacob, where it's just soft. Mm-hmm. Like he's just pure. And we need that sometimes to forget how Jacob really is. So.
Sometimes we just need an actual love story versus the triangle colossive mess that Twilight really is when you deep dive.
Yeah.
There we go. A little wholesomeness to end off our
I love
evening.
it. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Devin, where can folks go to support your work?
Yeah, so on all social medias, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, it's yes Devin with an underscore after at the end, and Devin is Devin.
Hell yeah.
Amazing. We love to support our hype people online. They need them.
Share the love.
If they're cold, you're cold,
Yeah.
So it has been an absolute blast to have you here, Devin. Thank you so much.
It's been so nice. Thanks for having me.
As we say here in the Pacific Northwest,
get bit
and get whipped.
Ooh.
Into the Twilight is an Earbud Media production. Our theme music is by Eli Krauss, and our artwork is by Maddie Padilla. Follow the show on Twitter at Into the Twilight and support us on Patreon at patreon.com/intothetwilight. Send us an email or a fanfiction at intothetwilightshow@gmail.com. You can find Allie at Into Wild Places and me at Cody Crow. You've been listening to Earbud Media Production. Earbud Media, audio for everyone.